Hey there, welcome over here to my kitchen. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you some of my family's all-time favorite recipes that are great for a busy night. I really hope you enjoy them and I hope you are doing well today, and let's go get to cooking. We're going to start out by making one of my favorite pasta dishes. You know how much I love pasta. I have 2 medium to large size chicken breasts right here and 1 smaller one. I'm just cutting them in half. Of course, with this recipe, you could use more chicken or less chicken, just depending on what you need. I put them into a large gallon size Ziploc bag, and I'm just tenderizing them with my meat mallet, just banging them so they're pretty much even in size. I'm going to season my chicken on both sides with some salt and pepper, and then over to this bowl I'm adding a half a cup of some regular milk, and then back to this plate I'm adding a half a cup of Italian style breadcrumbs. To coat the chicken, you're going to first dip it in the milk and then over to the breadcrumbs and then place it on a separate plate. It really can't get any easier than that. To cook our chicken up, I have a tablespoon of butter in my saucepan, and now I'm just adding a tablespoon of some olive oil. Once that melts down, you're going to add your chicken pieces in. This chicken's going to cook for about 3 to 6 minutes on each side. I only flipped it once halfway through cooking. After my chicken was through cooking, I just removed it to a separate plate, and then you are going to want to keep your chicken warm while you make the sauce. So I just placed my chicken in the oven on the warm setting. To begin on the sauce, I have a half a cup of some chicken broth I added to my saucepan, and I'm just scraping all the bits off of the bottom of my pan. There's going to be a lot of flavor in those bits. Once I brought that up to a simmer, I added in my 2 teaspoons of minced garlic, and then you're going to add in your 1 cup of some heavy whipping cream, and you're going to stir this around and bring it up to a simmer and let this thicken. Once it does start to thicken up, you're going to add in your 1/3 cup of some Parmesan cheese and your 1/4 cup of fresh basil. I just cut the basil up into smaller pieces. I also added a shake of some pepper. You're going to stir this around, and once it's thick, your sauce is ready to serve. Here's the finished product. This came out so good. I just served it over a bed of some fettuccine noodles. This would also pair great with some white rice if you don't want to do noodles. This is such a yummy meal. The sauce has so much flavor and that chicken is delicious. This baked taquito recipe is such a great recipe, especially if you're in a rush. So to get it started, I have about 5 ounces of softened cream cheese I added to my bowl. And now I'm adding in a 1/4 teaspoon of cumin, garlic powder, and some chili powder. The last couple ingredients you're going to add for this sauce is 3 tablespoons of sour cream and a 1/4 cup of whatever type of salsa that you like. You're just going to stir this mixture all together. Now that the sauce is well combined, you're going to add in your 2 cups of shredded chicken. I just boiled my chicken up and shredded it that way, or you could use a rotisserie chicken, whatever you prefer. I added the chicken into the sauce and gave it a good stir. I'm going to set this to the side. To help my tortillas not crack so much in the end when I'm rolling them for the taquitos, I have a plate lined with a damp paper towel, and then I added my corn tortillas to that, and then I'm going to add an additional damp paper towel to the top and put this in the microwave for about 40 seconds. I have my sheet pan right here lined with some aluminum foil, and you're just going to spray it with some nonstick spray. I'm choosing to use avocado oil spray. Now to assemble these taquitos, you're going to grab one of your warm tortillas, fill it with a little bit of the chicken filling. You don't want to do too much or else it will come apart in the end, and you want to try to not crack them while you're rolling them. Of course, some of mine did crack though. The last thing you're going to do is spray some additional oil spray on the tops so they crisp up in the end. These will bake on 425 degrees for 15 to 20 minutes. Here's the finished product. I just served my taquitos with all of the fixings that I enjoy. These came out so good. I really love how simple they are to throw together on a really busy night, and they taste delicious. For this week's meatless meal, I chose to do some minestrone soup. We love minestrone in this house. I'm going to begin by chopping up our veggies, 1 medium-sized white onion, 2 stalks of celery, 2 large carrots, and then 2 smaller-sized zucchinis. To my large pot, I have 2 tablespoons of some olive oil in there. I added my celery, carrots, and onion, seasoned it with some salt and pepper, and I'm going to let these soften down for about 5 minutes. After those 5 minutes, you're going to add in your zucchini along with your 4 cloves of minced garlic, a teaspoon of some dried thyme and oregano. Stir this around and let these ingredients cook together for an additional minute. The last ingredients you're going to add before you let this simmer is about 3 tablespoons of tomato paste, 28 ounces of crushed tomatoes, and 6 cups of some vegetable broth. You're going to stir this all together and let it simmer on your stove for about 15 to 20 minutes. Now that my veggies are nice and tender, you're going to add in the remainder of the ingredients. 1 15-ounce can of kidney beans and white beans, both are drained and rinsed. And then you're going to add in your small pasta. I chose to use some pasta shells, a little over half a cup of that. You're going to stir this around, let it simmer until your pasta noodles are completely cooked. Here's the finished product. I sprinkled mine with some Parmesan cheese. I gotta say, minestrone soup probably has to be one of my all-time favorite soups. It is just really good. This one was my daughter Brinley's favorite meal out of the entire week. To get this recipe started, you're gonna wanna cook up 1 pound of some ground beef. While our beef is cooking, I'm going to boil up my 8 ounces of elbow macaroni noodles, or you could choose to use shell pasta noodles. So now that my ground beef is completely cooked, I'm going to remove it to a separate plate and set this plate to the side. I'm adding a tablespoon of some olive oil to my pot, and then I'm adding in my 1 medium-sized white onion that I diced into smaller pieces. I'm going to soften this onion. It's going to take about 5 minutes. So now that it is completely soft, I added in my 3 cloves of minced garlic. I'm going to let this garlic get fragrant. Once it is fragrant, you're going to add 2 tablespoons of all-purpose flour. Stir this flour around and let the flour get a nice golden color. At this point, you're going to want to add in your 1 cup of beef broth. Whisk this all together. I also did scrape all the bits off of the bottom of my pan. I brought it up to a simmer, and now you're going to add in your 15 ounces of marinara sauce. You could use any type of marinara sauce that you care for. I'm just going to whisk this all together, and now I'm going to add in my seasonings, a teaspoon of Italian seasoning and parsley, and a half a teaspoon of oregano and paprika. I brought this up to a boil, then dropped it down to a simmer for about 6 to 8 minutes, or until it started to thicken up a little bit. Now that it is thicker, I added in my drained pasta noodles along with our ground beef that we cooked up. For the creams, you're going to add in 3/4 cup of some heavy cream. Stir this all together. Let the cream warm through just for about a minute or so. Then you're going to add in your 1/4 cup of sour cream along with 1.5 cups of some sharp cheddar cheese. You're going to give this one last stir to let that cheese melt down, and then it is ready to serve. Here's the finished product. I just sprinkled mine with some Parmesan cheese and served this with a side salad. My family loved this meal. We also loved that it made for some great leftovers the next day. I love coconut curry, and if you've never tried it or made it before, do not let this intimidate you. It is very simple. To my Dutch oven, I added a tablespoon of some olive oil with 1 medium-sized diced up white onion. I'm going to let this onion soften for about 3 to 5 minutes. It's time to add in your 3 cloves of minced garlic and tablespoon of minced ginger. Stir this around until the garlic becomes fragrant, and then you're going to add in your seasonings. So I'm adding in 2 teaspoons of some curry powder, 3 tablespoons of red curry paste, and then 2 teaspoons of some ground coriander. Stir this around for about a minute or 2, then you're going to add in an additional tablespoon of some olive oil with 1 sliced up red bell pepper. Mix all of this together and then let your red bell pepper cook down for about 2 minutes. Now I'm going to be adding in my cubed up 1 pound of some chicken breast. You're going to cook this chicken breast until it's about 90% of the way cooked, not completely cooked. So now that it is about 90% of the way cooked, I'm adding in a half of a lime with 1 can of some coconut milk. Lastly, add in 2 tablespoons of some brown sugar. The brown sugar is optional, but I do think it adds a lot of great flavor. You just wait and see. You're going to stir everything to combine and let the chicken completely cook through. Now that my chicken is completely cooked through, I added in a 1/4 cup of some fresh cilantro. The cilantro is definitely optional, but my family loves cilantro. I gave this a really good stir and then it's ready to serve. Here's my plate of food. I just served this over a bed of some white rice with some additional lime and cilantro on top. This has extremely good flavor. If you've never tried coconut curry, I 100% recommend this recipe. And that is a wrap of this video today. I really hope you enjoyed it and found a recipe that you might be able to make yourself. I hope your day is going well so far, and if you are new to my channel, we would love to have you. So go ahead and subscribe down below the video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.